Hello, I'm Oliver Colling, and this is the My 70s TV Childhood Christmas Special. Hello, and a very warm welcome to My 70s TV Childhood. We are a podcast dedicated to celebrating a time in the UK's history when many of us grew up, and a time where television played a central part in our and our families' lives. That was, and you may have guessed by our title, the 1970s. If you are a regular listener, then thank you for your support. And if you're a new listener, then you are most welcome. But most importantly, I want to wish you all a very happy Christmas. This episode is due to be released on the 24th of December. So if you're listening on the day of release and you're not ready for Christmas yet, I've got some bad news for you. Unless your loved one or loved ones will be happy with what you can pick up from the 24-hour petrol station round the corner, I think it's too late. Here at My 70s TV Childhood Towers, we're all set for Christmas. I'm sitting here in front of a roaring fire with chestnuts on it, wearing my Christmas jumper, which has got flashing lights and a reindeer, and I've got a Santa hat perched at a rakish angle on my head. I'm rocking gently backwards and forwards on my rocking chair and channeling my inner Val Doonican while sipping on a large glass of QC British sherry and eating a few cheese snacks shaped like Christmas trees. Oh, there's a plate of mince pies within easy reach, and a box of dates, which will remain unopened until I throw them away in March. It's an absolutely perfect start to Christmas. The turkey's packed and under the tree, and the presents are stuffed ready to go in the oven. Hang on, is that right? Anyway, all the Christmas preparations are done, and we are ready for the big day. All over the world, excited children are hanging up their stockings on the wall, as it's the time that every Santa has a ball, as the great poet Noddy Holder once said. All in the expectation that the man himself will visit overnight and leave presents galore for them to open on Christmas morning. At the same time, lots of grown-ups will be drinking themselves into a stupor, having pinched the glass of sherry left for Father Christmas, and then moved on from the sherry onto the Warwick's Advocaat, before finishing off with a raid on the box of famous Names liqueur chocolates, which should have been saved for Christmas Day tea. Oh dear. I think one of the reasons that this happens is that adults tend to get very stressed about preparations for Christmas, and it's not a surprise that there is, apparently, a date in January, the first working Monday, when there is a huge spike in people visiting solicitors to ask for a divorce. Well, every cloud, I suppose. But it's not like that when you're a child. The build-up to Christmas seems to go on for ever and ever, and then, suddenly, the day itself arrives, and before you know it, it's over. The build-up at our primary school went on for weeks, with rehearsals for the nativity play, which in our school seemed to get trendier and trendier as the 70s wore on, reflecting the changing times, I suppose. What had started as a rather dishevelled group of us wearing dressing gowns and towels on our heads, dressed as shepherds, obviously, because every shepherd in Galilee wore their dressing gown when they were out in the field. We got more and more sophisticated, including, I remember on one occasion, a South Sea Island-themed nativity, which was all good fun, but I can't actually remember what connection it actually had to Christmas. Anyway, we'd all sit down in class and write letters to Santa, and spend time making decorations, mainly bits of tinsel and those paper chains. Do you remember? The ones where you sort of loop together lots and lots of loops of paper, which we'd all take home and insist that our parents put up. I wonder how many houses suffered from fires from those paper chains and the tinsel, as I think they'd have all been lethal had they caught alight. At home, the preparations would gear up with my parents getting the Christmas tree out. Our tree was quite old, and became more and more threadbare every year it came out of the box. These were the days before most of us, or many of us, had real Christmas trees. That was quite an exotic pleasure for some people at that point. So it was the faithful old one that came out of the box. And then there was the annual ritual of the lights. It was almost guaranteed they wouldn't work first time, and so every light bulb had to be pulled out and pushed in again, until, hurrah, the lights finally came on. And then, of course, the real way you knew Christmas was coming was when the double editions of the radio and TV Times arrived, and the forthcoming 2 weeks of quality viewing could be planned out in intricate detail. Quick footnote for our younger listeners, or those who've forgotten, we had to have 2 magazines, as legally it wasn't allowed to list BBC programmes in the same publication as the ITV ones. How crazy was that? Anyway, lots of excitement for me as I planned what to watch, and also the prospect of watching some Christmas special editions of shows, and that was quite exciting too. I think there was a real distinction between the Christmas specials, which were, let's be generous, just the same shows with a bit of Christmas decorations and a few cracker jokes thrown in, comparing those to the ones which have lived longer in mine and others' memories. The 2 Porridge Christmas specials, for example, stand alone as great examples of Christmas programmes that live in the memory, particularly the Desperate Hours, which features Fletcher and Godber being held hostage by another prisoner with the Governor's Secretary and the Warden Mr. Barraclough. As well as dealing with the motivations of a desperate man driven to the edge by his confinement and the pressures of spending another Christmas in prison, it touches on the very personal relationships between all of those involved, and is both thoughtful and funny too. Similarly, the final episode of the first series of To the Manor Born is one which many people remember as a Christmas highlight. If you remember, Penelope Keith played the widowed Audrey Forbes Hamilton, ousted from a home in the manor by the self-made millionaire Richard de Vere, played by Peter Bowles. The series had been incredibly popular, and the finale on Christmas Day 1979 was watched by 18 million people as they waited the answer to the big will they, won't they get together plot. But I think for me the most memorable Christmas specials were those like To the Manor Born, which truly united families across the generations and got them together around the television set on Christmas Day. Obviously, the Queen's Christmas message was one of those iconic moments in the day, but for me there was only one which united the nation like no other every Christmas night.
In your smile, bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love.
What can I say about the Morecambe and Wise Christmas show that hasn't been said before? Well, not much really, but I'll try. As a family, this was the Christmas Day event. The famous Christmas sketches have passed into legend and are often repeated, so I think we're in danger of forgetting what a fantastic impact those comic masterpieces had when they were broadcast live to an expectant national audience. Let's just set the scene for a moment. It's the 1970s. Britain is going through power cuts, strikes and economic turmoil. But every Christmas, families gather round the telly for a bit of light relief from 2 of the funniest men in the country. A whole host of the great and good of music, comedy and drama appeared with Eric and Ern on the Christmas show and allowed themselves really to be part of the joke.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Grieg's Piano Concerto, soloist Eric Morecambe, conductor Mr. Andrew Preview.
The point is, it's one of those. Has he gone? You see, I hope you don't mind me saying this. No. But when you got to the part which was my cue, I couldn't see you for the lid of the piano. Yes.
The lid of the piano was in the way.
Was it?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, the lid of the piano.
I don't know what we can do about it.
Well, he wants to be taller, does he?
Yeah.
Could you wear high heels?
Again?
Oh,
Well, no. I mean, you don't have to, you know.
I don't know what we can do about that.
Well, I have a suggestion. Would you jump up in the air?
so I can see you over the lid of the piano. If you could
You
jump
want
up.
me? You want me to actually jump into the air on the rostrum in order so you can see my cue?
Yes, I mean, that's if you do that for me, you know, if you do that.
Yes, I'll do that for you.
I'll announce it again.
Yes, yes, he's a nice man, isn't he?
Isn't he?
I like him.
He's very Grieg with him and him. Something wrong with the violins?
No, there's nothing wrong with the violin.
That's only your opinion.
What were you playing just then?
The Grieg piano concerto.
You're playing all the wrong notes.
I'm playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order.
That is still one of my favourite ever comedy sketches. The timing, the simple yet gloriously funny device, and especially how well Andre Previn did in playing the part. Apparently, it was all done in one take, which if that's true, that is quite remarkable. From Andre Previn, helping Eric play his own version of Grieg's piano concerto, to Diana Rigg and Glenda Jackson starring in various plays what Ern wrote, everybody took it all in good spirits. And when Angela Rippon, then a very serious BBC newsreader, appeared in the 1976 show, none of us were quite prepared for what happened next. Not only did the desk slide away and reveal that she had long, shapely legs, but we saw that she was also a fantastic dancer. There was a huge national reaction. Newsreaders weren't supposed to dance. The BBC surely was more serious than this. Obviously, things have come full circle, and it's surprised to find a BBC newsreader who isn't desperate to show off their dancing prowess on Strictly Come Dancing. But the hoo-ha and the massive publicity around Angela Rippon's appearance carried on well into January, and it's hard to believe that an appearance on a light entertainment show became a national talking point, even with editorials in some newspapers on the subject. But that shows us, I think, what sort of place Morecambe Wise held in our affection, and how many of us watched their annual Christmas Day extravaganzas. The following year, 1977, featured one of my favourite celebrity sketches, where we didn't just have one newsreader, but a whole host of them appearing in a rendition of There Is Nothing Like a Dame from the musical South Pacific. We were treated to the likes of Richard Baker, then one of the kings of the newsroom, appearing to do backflips across the stage, supported by the likes of Frank Boff, Michael Parkinson, Patrick Moore, and even the craggy-faced veteran newsreader Peter Woods. Brilliant stuff. And obviously I wasn't alone in thinking that, as 21 million of us tuned in to watch the show. Although remarkably it wasn't the most watched show that evening. The Mike Yarwood Christmas show got even bigger viewing figures earlier that day. And for those of you who remember Mike Yarwood, who was an impressionist, who did a good Harold Wilson, Ted Heath, Dennis Healy, and I think that's probably about it. The fact he got even more views in Eric and Ern suggests that we must have been easily pleased then. From memory, I couldn't describe one Mike Yarwood sketch to you in stark contrast to Morecambe and Wise. And the main thing I do remember was the excruciating moment at the end of the show when Mike came on stage wearing a frilly shirt and big velvet bow tie and said, "And this is me," before singing a popular song. I have mentioned this many times before, but Mike, I'm afraid nobody was interested in you for yourself. Just the people you did impressions of, and when you started that final number, kettles across the country went on to make sure we could all get a nice cup of tea before Morecambe and Wise came on. But back to Eric and Ernie. Their act was developed from their days on stage and represented old-fashioned British comedy done to perfection. It wasn't just clever writing by their writer Eddie Braben, or their brilliant timing. No, they had an understanding and chemistry which just went together so well, even when no words were spoken.
And Mr. M. Allison of Crystal Palace Road, The Stripper, by David Rose.
Now, it's not the easiest thing to do sight gags on a podcast, but I bet that for many of you that last excerpt needed no explanation. The breakfast preparation to the tune The Stripper is another one which I love and can watch again and again. For those of you who haven't seen it or just fancy watching it again, I'll post a link on our blog at www.my70stvchildhood.com. We mentioned some of the famous stars who thought nothing of being the butt of Eric and Ernie's wit, but there was one star in particular who came in for lots of personal attention.
Go on, Uncle. I wonder what it is.
Well, it's a long player, isn't it?
Eh?
A long player.
Oh, really? Lovely. Marvellous, that.
Yeah.
I don't look really happy.
Yeah.
Is it something I've always wanted, like
Something you've always wanted.
an old Bing Crosby or something like that?
Not Bing Crosby.
No. Louis Armstrong?
No, it's not Louis Armstrong.
Ellie Wallace?
No.
Oh.
Des O'Connor. All I said was Des O'Connor.
Me, my hair, Oh, God, if you want me to be a goner, get me an LP by Des O'Connor. Face, look at that face!
That's the most unusual record he's ever made.
This is one where he sings the right notes. Just the one?
Yeah. No, side 2, track 3. He sings the right note and you hear the slump of the controller as he falls over the controls.
I like that. Oh, they love it. You see what I mean? Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. That's enough. We got a dozen more like that.
More like
a dozen
that.
more.
That is the best record Des has ever made.
You mean there's nothing on it at all? Did you hear that? Oh, where did you get it from?
Boots.
Do you need a prescription?
I got it at the poison counter.
How do you do?
Have you seen that nose there? God, looks like Concord coming out the hangar for the first time. And those teeth. Like a set of white pull-outs at the end of a long dark tunnel, you know. It's ridiculous. I feel ill every time. What's the matter?
I like him. Oh, yes. I've always liked him. Smart, intelligent, full of wit, charm, and a lovely singing voice.
Your singing voice?
One of the best ever.
You've changed your tune. As far as I'm concerned, I still think he's lovely. I think he's lovely. I'm two of your biggest fans.
Two of your biggest fans. Get a chair for Mr. Des, please.
Chair for Mr.
No,
Des.
cancel that. Make it a Three-piece suite. I got half an acre to bring it on. Half an acre to bring it on.
Oh, it's lovely to see you, Des.
Nice
lovely,
to see you.
lovely to see
Lovely
you.
to see you.
Des, what are you going to sing on our show?
Well, I've got a new album.
Just hold on one second.
What's that? Look, I don't mind him standing there, but I don't want him singing on the show.
You don't?
I'm not too keen on him standing there. Let's face it.
You've got to give him something.
Well, give him a get well card and send him home.
Well, Des, I don't know what to say, do I?
Just talking about you, Des.
Yeah, we were just talking about you, see, Des.
You haven't stopped talking about me for the past 6 years.
Oh, he's turned nasty, isn't he?
He's tumbled.
Yes, he's tumbled.
Start crawling.
Start crying.
I said hi, Des.
I must ingratiate myself.
Lovely to see you. What
Yes.
a great sense of humour you've got.
Sense of humour.
A lovely suit, that. Marvellous. Of course, with a sense of humour, you need a suit like that. With a suit like that, you need a sense of humour. That's two for the price of one. That's what that.
Des, I just bought Eric your latest LP. This is great.
Sing along or desperate. I think it's marvellous.
Sing along.
I tell you what, I'm thrilled. I ran my finger just down one of the grooves and I was impressed. Absolutely fantastic. I shall treasure this for the rest of my life.
Yes.
That may not be too long, Eric. Listen, fellas, may I ask just one simple little question?
Simple little question?
Yes.
No, it isn't.
No.
No, it isn't.
But don't blow too hard.
No, it's something different from that. It's the insults. Why?
Why?
Week in, week out.
Yes.
Why? The insults.
Insults? Who's been insulting her? You tell us who it is and we'll have him done over, won't we? What's happened out with our friends?
No.
I'll tell you.
You and you.
Never.
Never heard anything like that.
Excuse me. It was you, and especially you.
Three of us.
I've kept a list of the insults against Des O'Connor.
Well, I've forgotten half of those.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole series there.
I shall read them one at a time.
But we're leaving the country in August, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going.
Number one, Eric, I've just heard some good news. Ernie, what good news? Eric, Des O'Connor's got a sore throat. Number two, Ernie, Des O'Connor is a self-made man. Eric, I think it's very nice of him to take the blame. Number three, Eric, Des O'Connor is suffering from athlete's voice. Ernie, how do you mean? Eric, when you hear him sing, you want to run.
Poor Des. At least he seems to enjoy it as he kept coming back for more and more over the years. The Morecambe Wise Christmas show embodies everything I remember fondly about Christmas as a child in the 1970s. We all sat together, 3 generations of our family, laughing and chatting together, in the sort of experience that I don't think families have in the same way anymore. I think life was a bit tougher in general back then, which meant that getting together for occasions like Christmas was such important focal points for families. Well, it's getting to that time where I need to hang my stocking on the wall and wait for the big man to call. I think I've been good this year, so this may finally be the Christmas I get the Evel Knievel action figure and stunt bike after about 50 years of waiting. We shall see. Time for a little more QC British sherry. Oh, that's quite a large one. Never mind, it's Christmas. So all that remains for me to do now is to thank you all for listening this year. I really appreciate your dedication and loyalty to the podcast. Have a wonderful Christmas, whether you're spending it with friends and family or whether you're alone. And best wishes to you and those you love for 2025. I hope Father Christmas brings you what you want, and we hope to see you again soon for more from my 70s TV childhood. Happy Christmas.